contact has been made. We have AMD in the house. This is the 7900X, not the X or the XT, not the XTX. Still want to get my hands on that for like full benchmarking, but to start covering the encoder and streaming and stuff. Finally, my first AMD graphics card sample ever. So, yes, I have been reached out to. I apparently had people that I knew that now work at AMD, which is pretty cool. The coolest part, though, when I had the conversation with them, is that they actually have a, like, video, media, streamer, influencer kind of team now to focus on OBS and things like that. Whereas they pretty much didn't have that at all before. So, I can't share too much details of the calls or anything like that, but this will allow me to start covering their encoder in depth, and there's been a lot of questions that rose from my review that I'm going to work through them on in terms of fixing the documentation, all of that. But the fact that they actually have people there working on this stuff means big progress for AMD, because they literally didn't exist before, which has been the whole problem and why I dumped on them, because they just couldn't keep up, because they literally they weren't trying, and now they are. So, I'm very excited. I do want to correct one thing that I said repeatedly wrong over and over and over, which was the hardware. The encoding hardware in the card is not actually made by Xilinx or Xilinx or whatever. Everyone says it's pronounced Xilinx now, so I'm going to go with that. Which is a company AMD acquired that specializes in video encoding hardware and things like that. I was under the impression, and everyone seemed to agree with me on at the time, that they were leveraging that kind of hardware in the graphics card to do their AV1 encoding. And so since they had two different hardware registers for H.264 and 5 and AV1, I was thinking that the H.264 and 5 encoding part was handled on the Radeon side of things that was inherited from older RDNA cards, and that the AV1 was handled on this new Xilinx encoder ASIC or whatever that was integrated into the GPU. This was incorrect. Apparently they're just using like software optimizations and that kind of thing, like encoder profiles or something. I don't even have the exact answer yet. But they're only using like design ideas and software level stuff vaguely, you know, from Xilinx. They're not actually using Xilinx hardware here. It's still part of the normal RDNA hardware development process, which is kind of cool. So good to know. Doesn't really affect anything for you, the end user, but it was a factual inaccuracy that I wanted to correct, because I don't like saying wrong stuff, and I was very specific in that and was incorrect.